Friday show. Welcome to the OVE podcast, man. Appreciate you. Remember, subscribe, like, follow, share. Appreciate you. Let's shut that off on my computer playing in the background. Hey, a cool thing we're going to do. If you subscribe to the channel, got a question, we don't have the super chat on yet. We're working on that. We have to reach a certain amount of listenable hours on the new channel. We will probably pop that by next Friday, probably before that. But in the meantime, if you want to chime in and you subscribe to the channel, just put in the comments, subscribe, and we will pop up your comment today. So that's what we'll do until we get the super chat going. If you're subscribed to the channel, pop up with the subscribe, and then we will answer your question or your comment. Easy as that. Ohio versus Everyone's the podcast on a Friday. I'm the Torque from QFM 96. He's Sam Grooms. If you're hurt at work or in an accident, let attorney Robert Schuerger go to war for you at warforyou.com. Today's poll question: who wins? What's the score between the Chiefs and the Eagles? Final segment of the show. We'll talk Super Bowl and talk to Dave Mason from Bet Online. He's the sportsbook brand manager. There's a lot of props. We'll go over some of the props. I was told, Sam, and we'll talk to Dave Mason about this, that 40% of the sports betting on the Super Bowl is props.
Part of me makes me think that's just a little low.
Yeah,
I think the Super Bowl, the freaks come out and they throw their money on a bunch of stuff normally they wouldn't be able to bet on. Or maybe it's just the regular bettors, they sprinkle a little bit more over there while still betting on the actual game. Who knows?
But you know what it is? It's the young kids, the new generation, the fantasy football generation, like the over-under catches, the over-under 225, the parlays. I'll bet $5, but I'll do like 5 parlays. I know a lot of people who do that where, there's a lot of trends of Jalen Hurts is thrown for over 200 yards, 8 straight games. So then they'll take something like that and they'll parlay it with like 4 other things, hoping to spend $10 and make 200. Yeah. And then one person screws you and you go, well, it's only $10.
I've always wondered, how do they set the line on the over-under on the national anthem and how long it takes to sing? And like, is that something where you get a mole into practice with a stopwatch and then they report back and they know where to bet?
I think maybe that's a thing where they take a look at the national anthems in past Super Bowls and time them out. I think I read something like that, where they take like the last 10 national anthems and then figure it out timing wise. Because if it's an R&B singer, dude, they carry notes. They go on a lot. I like R&B. I don't like when R&B singers sing the anthem because they carry the notes. Like Mariah Carey. Oh,
one of the vocal gymnastics.
Singers. Oh, yeah. It's like, all right.
Sing the damn song.
Yeah, we know you can sing. We got it.
That's why you're there.
Yeah. By the way, the line right now is a 1.5. Chiefs -1.5.
Who's singing the anthem in New Orleans? Do you know?
I do not know. I really don't. I know Kendrick Lamar's doing halftime.
What could go wrong there?
Yeah. Kind of pass on that. I don't know.
Who was it last year? It was last year when they had.
And then Kendrick Lamar was 2 years ago with Snoop and Dr. Dre.
That's what I was going to. Who was it last year?
Usher. Or maybe it was the weekend, the year, and then it was the year before that was Dre and Snoop, which actually was pretty good. Not great.
Yeah, I remember that year. That was in Detroit, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. The thing I don't like about the Super Bowl halftime show is, and I hate to be the old guy, get off my lawn guy, but back in the day, the Super Bowl halftime show, they would perform 3 full songs, 3 or full songs. Now it's like 45 seconds of a tune. And then it's someone else is coming out. Hey, I'm Kendrick Lamar. Here comes Britney Spears. Here comes Janet Jackson. Here's Justin Timberlake. If you're performing at the Super Bowl, do the whole damn song. And by the way, next year, it's going to be, write this down, take it to the bank, Jelly Roll and Post Malone.
Team tattoo.
Oh, absolutely. Jelly Roll is everywhere crying.
So your singer for this year's national anthem is Academy and Grammy Award-winning Joe Batiste.
Oh, yeah. Little Joe Batiste. That's what they used to call him back in high school. Little Joe Batiste.
Grew up in Kenner, which apparently is a suburb of New Orleans. So they always try to tie it back into where they're playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of them.
You ever been in New Orleans?
No.
Yeah.
Was supposed to go to a bachelor party once, but didn't end up making it. And based upon all accounts, I don't. Doesn't sound like I'm missing a lot.
Yeah, you go there for a weekend. Now you're older, though. It's different. When you're younger, it's better. It's a young man's game out there, Sam. It's a young man's
I've
game.
always heard it's just hot, humid, and smells like piss.
It does smell like pee. I tell you, a great practical joke got played on me is Patty O'Brien's, the famous bar out there, next door to Pat. Now, this is 15 years ago, so it could have changed. But there was a transvestite bar next to Patty O'Brien's, right? And I was working for CBS Sports, and they called me up, and the guy goes, "Hey, we're going to bar, whatever. Let's say it's Lucille's. I can't even remember the name, right? So, hey, we're meeting at Lucille's at 8. We'll meet you there next to Patty O'Brien." That's right. So I go in there, and I'm ordering a beer, and I'm kind of looking around, and I couldn't decide, like, because it was like it's a high-end tranny bar. And I'm kind of like looking around going, what's going on here? But I didn't want to stare, but I knew something was off. And then within 10 minutes, all the guys came in and started laughing. Like, oh, this is great. Let's do it to someone else. So then we waited 15 minutes and then did it to someone else. And for the next 2 hours, we'd go, hey, meet us here. We're here at 10 o'clock. And then someone would come in and kind of look around.
Pops always tells me the hottest chick he ever saw in the French Quarter in New Orleans had a bigger Johnson than he did.
I mean, it's when you're young and go there for the first time, it's cool. The thing working Super Bowls, it's a lot of work. Like, it's a tremendous amount of work. So you want to party a little bit. You act like a buffoon. You're out till like 5 a.m. It's all private parties anyway. So, I mean, I've been there twice. Don't need to go there again. I'm good. And if you die not going there, it's all right.
Wouldn't mind the food. I hear the food's incredible.
Yeah, I would probably want to spend a weekend in well, it's tough, like New York or New Orleans. It's a tough one. Because, if I never go to New York again, I will be fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like in New Orleans, the only thing you can really do is eat and drink.
Mm-hmm.
At least there's other stuff in New York. Like, would I ever want to live there? Absolutely not.
Your sister lives there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's in Brooklyn.
The Rockettes?
Yeah, she's a retired Rockette.
Oh, retired Rockettes.
Yeah, she's 37 and has a 15-month-old. So there are women in their 40s with 3 kids still doing it though.
Oh, they're really?
Yeah, oh yeah. I don't know how, but they are.
Damn, it's a lot. You make money when you do the Rockettes?
Yeah, I mean, they make good money, but the problem is it's only a job for 3 or 4 months.
Oh, because they just do a cycle and then you're out, and then
I mean,
around.
I think they start rehearsals in September, and then sometimes the show will run to New Year's. But I mean, so let's just call it September to December, September through January. Jesus, September through December, and then what else are you going to do the rest of the year?
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, have you seen the story about Bryce Underwood that's kind of floating out there? Have you heard about this?
But
okay,
based upon what I'm seeing on the show sheet, I guess it really doesn't surprise me much.
Well, the dad came out and said the deal's up to $15 million, and they threw in a brand new SUV. And the dad was bragging about it, and apparently the deal is 10.5 up front, and then up to $15 million. And Michigan, by the way, kudos to them. They have the 6th best recruiting class. Signing day was Wednesday, and they got like the final top 100 guy and offensive tackle. And before you hate and go, well, why would they go to Michigan? Here's why. Michigan, now outside of the Ohio State, Alabama win, that season was awful for them. They were an awful football team, right? I mean, they were a bad football team. And what saved that season was beating Ohio State and then dismantling Alabama in that bowl game. But what's coming down for them is going to be embarrassing, is that they cheated. So you have to look at it from their point of view. They know that in the next coming months or weeks, it's going to be embarrassing for their program. The hammer's coming. They know it is. They know that they are going to fight it. They are going to deny it. They're hoping the low IQ fan base believes in them. But they're hoping, Sam, that if they spend enough money in the transfer portal in the NIL, that they can bring their program back to greatness and say, we don't need to cheat to win. See, we can win without Rain Man Connor Stallions. We're a great program. And the only way to do that in today's NIL and transfer portal system is spend more money than anyone else. Will Bryce Underwood leave LSU to go to Michigan? Yeah, because you're paying him $5 million more. And you're hooking him up with an SUV. And you're paying daddy and mommy. So, yeah, the top remaining offensive linemen on signing day go to Michigan? Yes, because they know they have to pay. And if they don't, Sam, they're going to be a 7-5 team again. And they know it's desperation. They have to prove as a program that they can win without cheating. And in today's system, that means spending money.
Isn't it funny how far Michigan's football program has come from the we're built, not bought mantra?
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, too, if you're getting $10.5 million up front, why aren't you just going to buy your own damn SUV? I mean, don't get me wrong.
Because they're throwing it in. They're giving.
If I'm getting $10.5 million, you're saying you're going to go ahead and give me the SUV. Like, okay, I'm not going to say no, but I don't know. It just seems like an awful lot of money.
Because it's bargaining power, and I'm already committed to LSU. So what's make it worth my while to turn down
if they're giving
LSU?
If they're giving you potentially $4.5 million more than what LSU is going to give me, or whatever the money, the difference was, I'm pretty sure I can buy a pretty nice SUV with that difference.
Yeah, but they're going to give you one. Remember that he's from Michigan, but he didn't want to go to Michigan. He wanted to go to LSU. And then Portnoy got involved and Larry Ellison got involved, and they had to entice him some way. So it's millions more, and it's a car. And isn't it amazing that Michigan had to go above and beyond of where they're throwing in cars, they're throwing in millions more because the kid wanted to go to LSU. And now the way the deal's structured, Sam, if they get nailed or Sharon Moore has to leave, Bryce Underwood's going to be the first guy. I don't think how many years does Bryce Underwood go to Michigan and stay?
I will say he'll be there this year, and he's gone after this season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing too. Is like good for them for kind of picking it up as far as the recruiting and the NIL portion of it. But we still don't know if any of these guys are actually going to stay there long enough to play, because when and if the rain cloud ever does finally start to rain on that program, I don't know that I would want to stay there, regardless of how much money. And guess what? There will be suitors at other programs with their wallets open, lining up to say, "Hey, we'll take you at this program, and we'll give you this. We'll give you some cash." Like it's open season, man.
Well, who are the players in this new NIL world? It's Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, Texas, right? Now Michigan's trying to get in the game. They're figuring out the game. There are programs out there, folks, who haven't figured out the game. You know who's one of them? And they were dominant for about a decade? Clemson. Clemson hasn't got the game yet. You know who gets the game? Ole Miss gets the game. LSU gets the game. Go take a look at, it's funny how the media is fixated on Ohio State, and I get it. They're the biggest brand, right? It's kind of like Trump, and people talk about Trump in politics. He moves the needles, and Ohio State moves the needles. But look at the real teams that go out there and really change their team in the transfer portal. This year it's LSU and it's Ole Miss. There are teams that are going to fall to the wayside because they don't have the infrastructure. And then there's teams that will rise because they have the alumni base and the rich people. Michigan has it, Miami, Texas, Ohio State, obviously. And you're seeing, and I sent you that story last night about Alabama. They're having a meltdown right now in Alabama. If you want to watch Jerry Springer on TV, Sam, watch the Paul Feinbaum show. Have you ever watched that show?
No, I can't stand that dweeb, but I understand the point you're making.
I watched it last night because I sent you that story, and it was one of your offensive linemen said, "We're not kidding around. We're serious." It was kids were showing up late to weight training and practice, and it wasn't discipline. And this year we're going to be disciplined, and it's a new team. And that was from one of their offensive linemen, and it made news yesterday in college football, right? So I decided, well, I'm going to watch the Paul Feinbaum show because he's Mr. Alabama. These guys, Sam, the call, let's go to Bob in Fredericksburg or whatever, and Bob goes on there and goes, "Hey, Paul, I just want to tell you Did you see the quote from Jimmy McNichol, the third string center, and he's only benching 355 this year? We have a serious problem, Paul, with our weightlifting program, and we need to fire that coach. We are not lifting enough weights. When we cannot have our backups and they are not doing their job, this program is destined to fail. And Feinbaum sits there and goes, all right, let's go to Billy Bob in Mobile. Billy Bob, man, I want to comment about the guys are showing up late, and I heard my cousin's friends with the backup safety, and they are not serious there. Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer are not serious with it, and then they'll start screaming, and it's got to stop, Paul. And my God, and I watched this like 15 minutes, and I thought, all right, man.
So I don't know who told the story. I know I've heard it multiple times. It might have been on Zach's show, but 2014 Buckeyes obviously win the national championship, right? Mm-hmm. Mickey Marotti lets these guys kind of bask in their own greatness for a little while, but then the calendar changes from January to February, and that's when the mood changes. That's when you start doing your spring workout regimen. You're doing the mat drills. You're doing all these things in the Woody. And I can't remember who it was, but he said during that period, they had guys showing up late to these team meetings, to mat drills, to all of this stuff that they were flipping on in February. And he said Mickey Marotti at that point said, I knew this team is not going to repeat. If you have players, and here I want to, it's not necessarily on the players, okay? But if you have players showing up late, that's an accountability issue in the locker room and from the coaching staff. And I think that's the bigger issue that Alabama's got right now is if your coaching staff is allowing that to happen, you've got bigger problems than you think. Nick Saban would have killed you, literally killed you, probably crucified you on the field, put you up for everybody to see, put your head on a pike if you were showing up late like that. And I don't think it would have even had to get to Nick Saban because some of the seniors and the more veteran guys in that locker room would have done it before Nick Saban even had to. I said last year that I thought Alabama was going to take a step back. They did. And after hearing that, I think it's far worse down there than we originally thought.
I think it is too, because one, they're not the only guys paying each other, right? They don't have the money that other schools do. Before you had Nick Saban. Nick Saban could recruit. Nick Saban had the NFL pedigree of I win championships and I send dudes to the NFL. Oh, and by the way, here's a little money for you, right? But when everyone else can pay more money and you're not winning the championships and your coach is grumpy and he's doing VRBO commercials and he leaves, and you're bringing in an outsider from the West Coast, he doesn't know the Alabama way or the championship pedigree. Caleb DeBoer's not good coach. If you look at his track record, the dude has won on every level. The problem is what Nick Saban built was a different animal, Sam. And like at Ohio State, you just mentioned the guy. When Urban left, who stayed? Mickey stayed, right? A lot of people stayed. Ryan Day, assistant coach, was part of the staff. A lot of that staff stayed when Urban left. With Alabama, Kalen DeBoer comes in. Ryan Grubb's his offensive coordinator. Ryan Grubb leaves 2 weeks later to go to the Seattle Seahawks, and now he's back. So it's Kalen DeBoer is trying to put his stamp on a program where he doesn't know the inner workings of a program. And they could easily, as they rose with Nick Saban, if you were to pick out programs in this new day and age of NIL and transfer portal, Sam, there are going to be programs that can't keep up because they just don't have the structure to keep up. Alabama to me, and we could talk about this down the road, but Alabama to me could be one of those schools where you had that period of Gene Stallings wasn't horrible, but they had like David Shula. There was a period after Bear Bryant where Alabama was trying to get their footing until they hired Nick Saban. We could go into teams. There's no guarantees when it comes to college football teams, Sam. You know, people thought when Tom Osborne there, Nebraska will live forever, right? People think it here. Oh, we could get anyone in. I don't know. I think we could get people in if they're confident and still win 10 games. I don't know if they can win champion, but you know what I mean? I mean, look at Clemson right now. They're in the god-awful ACC, and they're losing 3 games a year, Sam, because they don't have the structure in a day and age where you have to pay players and have to have the money.
I will stand on this. I will die on this hill. I will stand on this business. I think the success at Alabama in the football program over the last 25 years was more about Nick Saban than it was about Alabama's football program. Nick Saban drove the success of that program. Alabama did not make Nick Saban. The football history, the tradition, the program. The reason why Alabama is relevant today is because of Nick Saban, not because of Alabama.
But he built that, yes, but he built that in place. And he took an iconic brand that was desperate for winning, and then he put everything in place, whether he had anything to do with the paying the players or not. If you watch that Real Sports episode where they had the 4 SEC players, where they said the assistant coach had envelopes on the table, and then guys would walk by the office and they knew they could pick up their envelope and payments were made. Listen, I don't know if Nick Saban knew about it. You know, Zach tells a great story about interviewing with Saban and like compliance is not allowed. They turned a blind eye to the program. Either way, you're correct about Saban, but he also put in that structure of let's pay these damn players and let's make sure no one knows about it and we'll get away with it. So, yeah, he built it. I guarantee he's a great coach. I mean, don't you think Nick Saban's the greatest coach in college football history?
No, absolutely.
I think
who else would be?
I think there's honorable mentions like Tom Osborne, Bear Bryant, Bobby Bowden. I think there's guys you can mention, you know, like, hey, they were great coaches, some of the best, but I don't think anyone could touch Nick Saban. And I'm not talking about Jim Thorpe and Newt Rockne, leather helmet crap. Woody Hayes. No, I'm talking modern day. You know, but people would put Woody Hayes in that list. But I don't like putting list when you have voters deciding who the champion is. I like teams playing each other and deciding who the champion is. Because some guy from the AP is going to vote for a champion when he hasn't seen him play before cable. You would have guys vote for champions in the 1970s, Sam, where they wouldn't even see him play. They'd look at the box score and go, oh, well, Alabama beat Tennessee State by 24. I'm going to make them the third-ranked team. Oh, Ohio State's got a great brand. Archie's the Heisman Trophy winner. I'm going to make them number 1. I haven't seen them play this year, but the box score tells me they're really good.
Yeah, it's easier to consume different, out-of-region games now than it ever has been. Mm-hmm. But we know full well and good that nobody does. I mean, the AP voters and the coaches don't watch every single game before they vote.
No, they absolutely don't.
I mean, you just don't have enough time. Even if you watch like the Big Ten Network does the games in an hour, mm-hmm. like which I think is pretty cool. So technically, that's probably like 45 minutes if you factor in commercials. They don't have the time to do
that. Joe Burrow is at the Super Bowl doing Radio Row, and the former Buckeye and LSU Heisman Trophy winner said something really interesting I want to throw at you, Sam. We'll talk about it in 60 seconds next on the OVE podcast.
We go to war for you. At Schuerger Shunnarah Trial Attorneys, we don't back down. Accident? Call us today at 877-WAR-FOR-YOU or visit warforyou.com for a free consultation. Know your rights because results matter. That's 877-WAR-FOR-YOU. 877-WAR-FOR-YOU or visit warforyou.com.
warforyou.com.
Denrob Management has over 40 years experience in all aspects of payroll, processing checks, tax filing, W-2 and 1099 preparation. First-time customers get 50% off their first 3 months processing fees. Give them a call now, 614-297-1158 or denrobmanagement.com.
Torgy, did you fall asleep? Torgy. He must have froze. All right, boys and girls, give me a second.
Oh,
we thought you died.
No, I don't know. Something happened with my internet. Did I talk at all there?
No,
okay.
It was frozen.
Okay, because I was talking about Joe Burrow. It was my internet. Spectrum sucks. I'll talk about Joe Burrow's doing Media Row this week, and he's a little delusional. He thinks the team is going to sign T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson. Joe, you play for the Cincinnati Bengals. You're not re-signing anybody.
Play for Mike Brown, buddy.
Yeah, you maybe sign Jamar Chase. Maybe everybody else is gone. You're not. You had a magic year. You're not going to do it, bro. You're the Bengals. But one interesting thing he said is that if he played in the transfer portal days, he said he would have left Ohio State right away. Said, I would have left Ohio. He recommended for every college football player, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he was on the Rich Eisen show, said every college football player should leave to the highest bidder after every season. That the NFL's not guaranteed. People are paying. It's an open market. You should have no loyalty to anybody. You should go out and get your money. If you can make $1 million and another school is only paying you $500, there's no loyalty with the brand. Because he said, I would have left Ohio State after the first season if there was NIL money.
I understand why
he's out. Didn't he have to sit out? The rules were he'd have to sit out.
Yeah, you have to sit out a year unless the athletic program basically or the coach signs your release, which rarely would happen. I think it's I understand why he's saying that, but I also think it's a little short-sighted and maybe not thinking through the whole picture. A lot of the reason why the product of college football is so good and the product of the NFL is so good is because you have continuity. You have guys that develop with each other, especially, again, prime example, offensive line. They get to know the program. They get to know the coaches. They improve. They get stronger. I think if you transfer like that and go to the highest bidder every year, the product ultimately is going to suffer. And when the product suffers, less people watch, less money coming in, less money for you. So I understand what he's saying, but I also think it's a little short-sighted.
Don't you think it just makes Ryan Day what he's doing, though? Like a guy like Jeremiah Smith can get offered like $4.5 million with Miami and say, no, I'm happy here. That it's almost like, hey, and I don't really pay attention to ratings. Like, hey, they got the 5th best class. Or remember Charlie Weiss and his huge uterus would get the number 1 class every year. Notre Dame wouldn't do shit with it. So it really doesn't matter. But to me, if I'm a coach and I am recruiting a 5-star guy, but then there's a 4-star guy, and I think he's just a good background, really wants to be a Buckeye, I'm taking the 4-star guy over the 5-star guy anytime because this is a day and age in college football where I want to rely on somebody. And Ryan Day has said this a lot. We do not recruit guys. If you're using Ohio State to go to the highest bidder, go elsewhere. We don't want you. And Ryan Day openly says, I don't want that kid. I'm not going to get in a bidding war. If you want to go to Ohio State, we'll take care of you. But you're a Buckeye. I'm not. Michigan right now is just going, hey, we're the highest bidder. We'll pay you. Miami, we're the highest bidder. Carson Beck, here's $4 million. You got a hot girlfriend. Do TikTok videos. Get paid here. And Oregon's doing the same thing. I respect Ryan Day's stance, and they're not going to get into it. We're not going to get into a bidding war, and they're still getting really good players. They're still getting the Jeremiah Smiths, top players. I don't know how long that will last. But I think in recruiting, because Joe Burrow mentioned, well, all the players should leave after a year and get the most money. I don't know. I think that's bad for college football, and it's bad for guys like that who has won a Heisman to come out and just say, oh, yeah, players should leave after a year. Because people are watching that. A kid's watching that going, oh, yeah, why the hell am I here when I could go get $100,000 more and go there?
Yeah, I know why he's saying it, but I also think ultimately the product is going to suffer, and that's going to bring in less money. But I I also don't think that we're going to have this problem. Some of these issues are going to be addressed in the very near future when it comes to NIL and tampering and transfer portal timing and all of these types of things. Again, I think it should be okay for transfers to occur. I think you get one freebie, and then, or if your coach leaves who recruited you, I think that's a freebie. But I think after one, you should have to sit out a year and lose a year of eligibility. If that means the NCAA gives all of these guys or awards them an extra year, everybody gets 5 years, and we do away with the red shirts, gray shirts, and all this crap, I'm fine with that. There's got to be a little bit of give and take, but I just don't see what's currently happening in the sport continuing for much longer.
No, I tend to agree with you. You have to fix it. You know, I was looking today. I sent you the story. The SEC distributed $52 million to each 14 schools, 2023, 2024. Do you think we get to a point in athletic departments where they separate the revenue? Meaning, like, football pays for every other damn sport, but it's getting to a point where if you want a winning football program, can you afford to use your profit in your sport to pay for racquetball? I mean, there's already like wrestling's out of the Olympics. There's a rumor about like men's volleyball's leaving Ohio. Do they have men's volleyball? I heard the other day like a male sport is leaving Ohio State. You already had the SEC with Texas and Oklahoma. Like every school in the SEC eliminated 2 sports. You have to be profitable in this day and age, especially if you're paying players. So if you're 52, the SEC seems to be getting it, Sam, where they're like, all right, more money for football, but we need to get rid of, what is it, if we have a rifle team or a rowing team and they're not generating revenue, it's a new world, right? Let those go to a division school, a 2 school if you want to do rowing, if you want to be on the rifle team. I don't know if football and universities can pay for all the other sports.
Yeah, you can only have so many losses to write off before it starts really digging into the profit side of it too, or the entire enterprise. You're absolutely right. And to further complicate that, I think the whole Title IX issue is going to be a big deal, and how this revenue split is shared across all, all of the athletic programs. Is it? Do you give the majority of the money to the programs that are actually generating revenue? Well, I got a pretty good feeling the people at Congress are going to be pissed off about that. That'll be their selective outrage for the week. So how are you going to do this is what I'm curious about. But you are definitely going to see a lot of changes. Ohio State, for example, prides themselves on, I believe, having more athletic programs than anybody else in the country. That's very short-lived. I don't think that's going to continue for much longer, because we already saw they operated at a nearly $38 million deficit last year. You just can't operate for very long at at that size of deficit, regardless of how large your athletic program is.
Is that a big deal anymore?
What?
Like, we have the most sports. We have more sports.
I don't think it should be, but apparently it is. Well, but it's also probably one of those situations too where you're Ohio State. It's like, yeah, we got more athletic programs than anybody else. Well, we might as well brag about it. I don't think they go out and add a program saying, oh, we got to go out and add this program so we can continue to say we have more athletic teams, varsity sports, than any other program in the country. I don't think that's the reason.
All right, shout out to Sean, who put in the chat. He's a subscriber. We're going to get Blue Wolverine if you're watching. We handled the super chat today. What happened is during the football season, the first month of the football season, we were broadcasting this channel and Menace to Sports at the same time. YouTube said you can't do that. You have to be on one channel or the other. Well, we forgot to delete old videos off our YouTube channel, and they're penalizing for that. So we had to go in today and delete the videos. And then we have to get 4,000 views before we can have these super chats. So I think we have 3,000 right now this week. So how about this weekend? Everybody watch the video, go in the background, put on YouTube, watch our show, watch like 5 minutes when you're not doing anything, and give us some views this week. So next week we can start getting the chat on.
Be a friend, tell a friend, damn it.
Absolutely. Just watch a little bit in the background, like you're driving to work.
Don't watch, listen then.
Listen, whatever you got to do. We have to, on the YouTube, get 4,000 views so we can open up super chat. We're at 2,500, 3,000 at the end of today. Let's get it going so we can get the super chat going. Little Italy, my guy. By the way, I know Austin, Little Italy. I know I owe you a $25 gift card and a Eddie George bobblehead. I still have it. Your dad, I know where your dad works. I'll give it to your dad. There you go.
Italy's the football maker, right?
Yes.
Up in Ada?
Wilson. By Lima, right? Just got engaged.
I thought it was up in Ada, which
Yeah,
is, I guess, by Lima. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, let him
up
live.
that way.
Yeah, let him live. But I just thought it was interesting comments from Joe Burrow about, and listen, that's the player mentality, though, is your career is short. There's no guarantee for next year. What if you get hurt? You know, all these guys have been baptized now in the NFL, where, especially in the NFL, they don't give a crap about you. What are you going to do? You know, Joe's a little bitter, too. His house got broken into and he got busted cheating on his girl.
Oh, did he?
Well, yeah. Well, remember the girl called? He's got a longtime girlfriend, and the girl who called the cops is an SI swimsuit model.
Yeah. So I thought that was the girlfriend.
I think no. It wasn't his girlfriend. And then I think his excuse was, oh, she's a lesbian.
Olivia Ponton?
Yeah, I think he has someone in the chat can help us out. I think Joe Burrow has a longtime girlfriend. And I think to get out of it, I think he said, well, she works with me and she's a lesbian.
She is, yeah.
She's a spinner.
She's fit.
Yeah. Joe could have some fun.
Not much in the realm of curbs, but hey, man, she cleans up nicely.
Yeah. But I totally understand. I just don't. If I'm a program, I want to avoid any kid like, let's say Bryce Underwood at Michigan got the big bag of money and then decides his sophomore year, I don't want to be here. Boy, that's a tough business to be in, where you recruit a kid, you pay a kid, then when's enough, right? Oh, I want to leave. Well, damn, we had an agreement with you. Kind of like with Wisconsin's doing right now with that player, where they had I think it's a defensive back, where he was going to go to Wisconsin, and then the Big Ten got involved because Wisconsin, no. We have a 2-year NIL deal with this player. You haven't hit the transfer portal. You can't hit the transfer portal. We have a deal with you. And you broke that deal. Now we're bringing in the Big Ten. You notice that Wisconsin brings in Tony Pettetti in the Big Ten, and they don't go to the NCAA?
Can we also talk about the fact that, and while you were talking about that, it just kind of hit me. We're talking about Burrow. How do you feel about all of these players, making the rounds at Media Row during the Super Bowl, including guys like Myles Garrett that are under contract for the next 2 years with the team, going out and talking about how great an opportunity it would be to play with all these other teams?
Dude,
I understand where he's at, but that would piss me off.
Don't you think Myles Garrett is delusional? He thinks he could. They asked him about playing with Jaden Daniels. He goes, oh, yeah, I'd love to play with him. Dude, you're under contract. They don't have to trade you to a contender. Everybody.
It's not just it wouldn't be like, it's not one of those situations where if the Browns were to trade him, it's just a clean break and they get all these assets. It's going to cost them more money and likely more stars on the team if they trade Myles Garrett. We heard cornerback Ohio State, Denzel Ward, come out and basically say, like, yeah, if they trade him, I don't know that I want to be here either. I'm going out on a limb and saying that's not going to be the only player on that team that would have that mindset. So
do you know what both those dudes have in common? They have both publicly come out and destroyed Deshaun Watson. Myles Garrett said this week, we need a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback, and until we get a quarterback, we're donezo. And then Denzel Ward, remember he came out in TMZ like a month ago and says, oh, man, we really need a quarterback.
And he's not wrong.
Dude, there's a domino effect from that trade that has really destroyed this franchise from top to bottom. But I don't know why Myles Garrett's at the Super Bowl in this imaginary world where they go, would you like to play with the Eagles? Oh, I'd like to play there. Why would the Browns trade for like the 28th pick in the draft and they trade? They're not. It's ridiculous to come up like Myles Garrett asked to be traded. I want to get traded to a contender. Like the Browns are supposed to bow down and go, hey, let's send you to the Chiefs.
Yeah, they're going to do what's in the best interest of their team in a rebuild, probably. I would be very pissed off if I've got a guy that I've got under contract for 2 years out there doing something like that.
Yeah, but what he's doing is he's putting pressure on the Browns.
Oh, I know exactly what he's doing and why, but it would just piss me off.
It should piss you off that LeBron is consulting him. And he threw it out there too. Well, I've talked to LeBron. LeBron has given Cleveland the middle finger twice now. And then he tells your best player, yeah, it's all right. You should move. This is what you do. This is how you get out of Cleveland. Boy, that guy. And if I was LeBron, I would just say, hey, man, I don't want to talk. I don't want to get involved.
I don't want to get started on LeBron.
We got Dave Mason coming up. Let's talk to Dave for a little bit. We'll put him on here. We're going to take a quick break. Dave Mason, by the way, is the sportsbook brand manager for Bet Online. Super Bowl this weekend. We're going to talk about different prop bets, how they come up with the prop bets, some different lines. And then I want to ask him about my stat that I had earlier about 40% of the betting on the Super Bowl being prop bets. I'm not sure if that's true or not. We'll ask Dave Mason next. We're back in 60 seconds on the OVE podcast. Hey, it's Torg for Custom Air. You know, when it comes to my HVAC system, I don't trust just anyone. I trust Custom Air. These guys are fast, reliable, and they know their stuff. Fall's just around the corner, and now's the perfect time to make sure your HVAC equipment is running at its best. Don't wait until it's too late. Get ahead of the game. I wouldn't trust anyone else with my home, and neither should you. Visit them on the web at customairco.com and keep your home comfortable all season long. Custom solutions, custom comfort, Custom Air. Thinking of buying or selling a home? Give Lauren Torgerson a call with NextHome Experience. Lauren has been servicing the Columbus metropolitan area for 10 years. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, considering building, want to upsize or downsize, Lauren can help you with all your real estate needs. Get a free market analysis for your area and get started working on making tomorrow's dreams happen today. Call or text Lauren at 614-296-3952, 614-296-3952, or email at torgersonlauren@gmail.com. We are the OVE podcast, Ohio versus everyone. I'm the Torg, QFM 96, Sam Grooms. Let's bring on Dave Mason, who is the sportsbook brand manager at Bet Online. Dave, how are you, man?
I'm well. How are you guys? Busy but good. I'm a Philly guy too, so that this Super Bowl is a little extra fun for me.
Hey, we were talking before the show, and I was told by one of those handicappers, you know, he's got like a website, and hey, buy my picks. He said that 40% of the action on the Super Bowl is prop bets. What are you hearing about? Because it's a younger generation. They love fantasy football. They want to do the Jalen Hurts over under 225 yards, whatever it is. Are you seeing that big of a swing when it comes to prop bets, or is it more?
Yeah, I mean, during the regular season for an NFL game, probably the money that comes in on props is probably about 10 to 15%. And that's up from years. I mean, props are bigger than ever, not only during the regular season, but the Super Bowl, obviously. And a lot of that has to do with the same game parlays, and that factors in it. You know, these same game parlays are just so popular. That was unheard of 5, 6, 7 years ago, where you could parlay A.J. Brown over receiving yards to Jalen Hurts over passing yards. You know, that's a correlated parlay. It used to be a big no-no, but now you can do that, and the players love it, so they bet the heck out of it. So for the Super Bowl, 40% is a pretty good number. I would say the volume is 40, maybe even closer to 50%. It goes up, it ticks up every year. We have a ton of props. We offer more and more props. We have a props builder where all the traditional statistical stuff is, and the first player to score first touchdown, and will there be a safety, and all that stuff, and that's all parlayable. And then in our sports book itself, we have more of that kind of unique stuff and stuff that's not covered in there, like halftime show, anthem, Gatorade, and broadcast props and all that stuff. So there's so many markets. It's 40% is a good number.
Hey, do you look at it with Taylor Swift and the Chiefs? And I think it's a Fox broadcast, but CBS was showing her a million times during the AFC title game. For you guys as a sports book, and you want people to bet, and you know she attracts people, do you come up with more props than anyone with Taylor Swift, knowing that, oh yeah, we can people, that's a interest that, all right, you don't have to be a hardcore football fan to get involved in the action?
No, absolutely. I mean, last year the Taylor Swift the craze started for the NFL, and we were talking about it last 2 Septembers ago. We were saying, "Oh my God, she's dating Travis Kelce. If they're still dating by the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, this is just going to be off the charts." Craziness. And it was. So now she's there again. And we have, I think, 89 different Taylor Swift props on the game. So there's all sorts of different markets. And yeah, the Super Bowl brings out the casuals watching it, and not people that aren't even casuals. People don't know anything about football, but they know Taylor Swift. They know Kendrick Lamar. They know the person doing the national anthem. So it's the event within the event within the event. And you just need odds on all of it.
That kind of dovetails nicely into the question I want to ask. Are there certain teams or certain markets that if they are in the Super Bowl, you see more volume coming in to these books and making these bets? And then I guess to kind of parlay, see what I did there off that question, is Philly and Kansas City moving the needle for you guys as far as volume?
It's hard to pinpoint on a team. I mean, once you get to the Super Bowl, it's all eyes are on it. I mean, people always say the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. They take more action than anybody. And, over decades, that might be true, but every season is different. They're not very good, so they're not moving the needle that much. The odds move the needle too. If people think it's going to be a blowout either side, people get involved more than, these are two good teams or whatever. And again, this is the end of the season. All these games take crazy action. Everybody's going to be watching this game. I keep on seeing people, I'm going to boycott the game because I'm tired of the Chiefs and I don't like Philadelphia. I'm like, get out of here. You're going to be watching that game Sunday, and you're going to want a little bit of action on it.
Dave Mason's with us, Bet Online, and the line now is Chiefs minus 1.5, and it's really kind of stayed there. Are you surprised we haven't had the movement, and what would it take? Because I think the money is on Philadelphia, but what would it take for this line to go up or down?
Actually, we have it at 1. It was 1.5. It went as high as 2, and actually, we need Philly. 55% of the cash is on KC minus the point. The money line is even more. 64% is on KC outright, which is currently minus 118. And for the total, we need the under. What is it, about
48.5?
Yeah, 65% of the cash is on the over, currently 48.5. Sharps hit under 50 when it moved there for about a minute, and under 49.5, and even a little bit on under 49.
Do you like the number? Because you look at this game and you go, all right, Philadelphia's defense is good. Chiefs defensive backs are the worst in the NFL, but the line is so close, and it tells me if this is a close game, the Chiefs are going to win. They win every close game.
Yeah, again, I'm a Philly guy, but I'm objective too. I'm not one of those guys that just bets and thinks with my heart here. I have to be in this business, right? But yeah, I mean, on paper, Eagles are the better team. However, the most important position in all of sports, you have perhaps the GOAT or the GOAT in training, right? You got Tom Brady 1A, but Mahomes is creeping up on him. And I've been saying if it's a 4-point game, 2 minutes left, and either team gets it on their own 20, and they have to march down the field for a game-winning touchdown, I know Mahomes is getting it done. Hurts, I mean, I like him. He's an efficient passer, but he's just not been there. Sometimes it's just about guys that have been there, done that. They just know how to win. It's a confidence thing. Brady had that it factor, and now Mahomes has it, and Reed on the sideline. So yeah, I mean, the Eagles almost won that game 2 years ago. I mean, they shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn't win that game. But, we have a better defensive backfield now. Our defensive secondary is so much better than it was 2 years ago. Our line is still great, and now with Saquon Barkley too. So the numbers where the numbers should be. I think the Eagles overall are a better team, but Mahomes and Breed just gives them a little bit of an edge.
Hey, when it comes to prop bets, throw me a couple that are interesting that we're like, no way, people are actually betting on that.
Oh, we got a ton. Well, like AJ Brown, what book will we be reading on the sideline first? Love Hurts. Buddhist advice for the heartbroken is a 7-1 favorite. I put up there Dallas Cowboys suck, and yes, that is a name of a book, so I put that on there at 16-1 as well. Cleavage, we always had the cleavage prop. I'm the inventor of the cleavage. SZA, she's performing at halftime with Kendrick Lamar. Will she have cleavage? Kendrick Lamar, you need one to be Kendrick Lamar. Will he expose a nipple at halftime? That's a prop. Bill Belichick, of course, dating that 24-year-old young lady. So what's going to be more the age difference between them, the two of them, which is 48, or the total points scored in the game itself? So it goes on and on and on. Oh, another one. Trump, his alleged weight when he was booked into Fulton County, Georgia, was 215. Once again, I said alleged. So what's more, his alleged weight or the passing yards by Jalen Hurts? So it goes on and on and on.
Good one.
In his bra.
Oh, dude, that is awesome. Dave Mason, Bet Online Sportsbook brand manager, is with us. Dave, when you look at overall sports gambling, and it's been legal here for 3 years, we had a governor who didn't want it and he wants to tax it again. Are you seeing when it comes, and I think there's maybe 30 states that have it, I could be wrong, or maybe I'm thinking of legalization of marijuana, one of the two. Are you seeing sports betting gaining steam through sports, or it's kind of a leveling off and it's just a slow roll right now?
Nah, it's gaining steam. Well, there was that first initial push, but it's gaining steam. I mean, all you got to do is turn on the radio, turn on the TV, and see all the ads and everybody making their plays and all these announcers making their plays and everything. It's still gaining steam. It's growing. More and more people are doing it. More competition, obviously, which competition is a good thing. And I always say, if you have a few different books, if you're using a few different books, that's a good thing. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say Bet Online is the only place to bet the Super Bowl. If you should have 2 or 3 good, solid books, because if you can get an extra half point there, or you want a Gatorade color and it's a little better at our book and in that book, or whatever, a little bit better yardage for Saquon Barkley, you shoot, man. So having a few different options is good, but as long as betonline.ag is one of them.
Perfect.
I saw in the last 24 hours, Governor Abbott down in Texas came out, said he's in favor of being legalized in the state of Texas, which I would imagine would be a big market to open up.
Oh, yeah, of course, Texas. That's just absolutely massive. One of the biggest states, a lot of sports fans, a lot of sports teams. So that would be huge as well.
Well, Dave, we appreciate the time, man. Appreciate it. We'll keep in touch. We have you on every year, so appreciate it, and good luck to your Eagles.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me. Enjoy your weekend.
You as well.
Hey, speaking of the Super Bowl, Sam, what do you, when you look at this game, does it excite you? Are you looking forward to watching it? Is it kind of like, we saw this 2 years ago?
Doesn't excite me because the NFL really doesn't excite me to begin with. But I'm also not one of these idiots that are trying to virtue signal saying I'm not going to watch it out of protest. There's nothing else is going to be on the Sunday. What the hell else am I going to do?
We did a thing where my kids said they didn't want to watch it when the Bills lost the AFC title game. And then I asked my boys, and they're kind of like, well, it's going to be on, and I like food, and I like the commercials. Dave Mason's right. You probably left that Buffalo game, and you saw the matchup, and you said, I don't want to watch this. And now that it's coming up, you're like, what the hell else am I going to do?
What else am I going to do?
I'm going to watch the game.
How do you see this game going? Because, Philly, to me, should win this game. But also, Kansas City's been here before. They've been discounted all year. And if you're not up 2 scores on Patrick Mahomes at the end of the game and he gets the ball, you're going to lose.
100% right. If it's a 1-score game, sorry, Philadelphia.
Yeah, and he gets the ball with some clock, good luck. It's over.
By the way, breaking news. Ohtani's translator only gets 4 years in jail.
Yeah, so 4 years, 9 months.
That's it. Something tells me there was something going on there.
Oh, of course. Again, I'll ask the question. How does a guy like Shohei Ohtani, with the amount of money he has, with the advisors he has in place, with access to his bank accounts, I'm sure, not see this happening in real time, and Shohei Ohtani just finds out on a whim?
By the way, Rob Manfred said, too, we were talking about this earlier the week, a salary cap is a must. We have to push for it.
It is, but it ain't going to happen.
We'll see. It'll be interesting. I mean, if you dig, anything can happen if you dig in. The question is, do you want to dig in? If you dig in, it will happen. Do you want to dig in? I mean, it's only look at the NHL, Sam. How long were they gone? A year and a half? They're finally getting momentum back.
Well, I mean, you've seen obviously the salary cap was flat. COVID didn't really help there. The salaries flat the last 2 years, but they're going to, I think, have like a 20%, 25% increase over the next 3 years in their salary cap. So that's good for the sport.
How pissed off was I last night about the Blue Jackets? I was so pissed off. I thought
you need to get talked off the ledge, man.
I think they played lazy. I hate when they
did not play well.
Exactly.
And like I told you, I think there was a little bit of bad luck, and I thought it was maybe a little bit of lack of focus. They had so many open nets that if they just don't miss the net last night, they win 7-2.
Yeah, but my whole point is when and you saw the standings, there's like 6 really good teams in big markets. Big market teams are going to make the necessary deals to make the playoffs. Blue Jackets never do that, right? The Blue Jackets never. They did it one year when they went and got Duchesne and the guy from Ottawa. Like in this franchise history, there's like one time they went all in. They don't go all in. So what do you do if you don't go all in? If you're playing Buffalo, you're playing Utah at home, you have to outwork them. And last night they got
you're right.
And they're not. That's what pissed me off is they didn't outwork Utah of all teams, and they were getting outworked.
You have to beat, if you want to make the playoffs, you have to beat the teams you're supposed to. But the one thing I will say for the Blue Jackets, they've already got 2 losses to Montreal this year. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
They also beat the good teams, the teams you don't expect them to beat. So it's almost like one of these trade-offs, right? Where maybe you drop a game or two to Montreal, but then you go out, you've beat the shit out of Boston twice this year. You beat Vegas on their home ice. Like there's a trade-off to this, but yeah, man, if you're going to try to compete for the playoffs, you got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, especially at home.
And you can't lose 3 in a row. If they lose to the Rangers Saturday, me, you, Project Pat, and Zach are going to that game. But you can't lose 3 in a row. You just can't. You can't even lose 2 in a row now. What is Detroit won 7 straight, 8 straight?
Yeah, they're like 15-4 since McClellan was named coach.
Yeah, so you can't drop 3 in a row. That's just my point. That's my frustration point from the standpoint is you're 55 games. You came all this far. I get the injury bug is just killing you. You're a one-line team, but damn, man, that game really.
They've got one more game before a 2-week break, so everybody can hopefully heal up. But then when you come back, you got to pedal to the floor.
Porty's coming on with us, by the way.
When? Good.
He said he can't do it between the 11th and the 18th, and outside of that, he can come on any day.
He's probably going to be doing the Four Nations up in Boston, Montreal.
Yeah, so we'll talk to him then.
Cool.
Beautiful. What's not to like, right?
By the way, who you got in the game? I know we kind of glazed over the poll.
I am doing the Chiefs 27, the Eagles 24. And
I'm going to go 30-28. 30-28 Kansas City because the magician does it again.
Andy Reid better than Belichick if he wins?
I think you need to start having the conversation. I wouldn't quite saying better yet. But I don't think Andy Reid gets near enough credit. We talk about Patrick Mahomes. I think Andy Reid has as much to do with this as anybody, too.
Think of the criticism that Andy Reid got when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles and ran out of town. He can't win the big one. Kind of like Ryan Day, can't win the big one. Oh, he's overrated. He can't win in the playoffs. Oh, he's gotten there and he lost. Let's get rid of him. Let's run him out of Philadelphia. And then the Chiefs were so eager to pick him up. And now look what's going on.
You're right.
Really good coach. Really, really good coach. You know what we need to do next week? I do this every time there's a championship. And I love doing it. I take the Super Bowl champion. Then I take the local teams. And I say, how close is that team to the team that won? Because I would do it all the time with the Blue Jackets. Because I would always point out with the Blue Jackets, Sam, if you watch the NHL playoffs and then watch the Columbus Blue Jackets, it'll make you regurgitate puke in your mouth.
Yeah, it'll piss you off how far away they are when teams actually start ramping up and playing the game.
Yes.
100% of the time. Like you see right now, the NHL to a degree is a little like the NBA in that you really don't start seeing the players and the checking and the speed and everything consistently pick up till the third period. When the game's on the line, like the NBA, nobody really starts playing until the last 5 minutes. But in the playoffs, it's balls to the wall 110% for 60 minutes.
Yeah. And
that's why it's so much better than any other sport in the playoffs.
You want to do a full week next week? What do you want to do?
I don't want to, but
we don't have to. I can do it. I mean, what do you want to do? 3 days next week together?
If we're going to do off season, let's do an off season.
Yeah, I know. I just want to get us to where we can do super chats.
That's why I want to play by ear, right?
Yeah, I want to do super, but I also do in the off season. Don't want to go every day. I know. We'll talk to Zach on Saturday when we have some drinks in us.
Oh, I'm sure that he's looking forward to that.
He's on that Awaken 1-8. Can he drink?
He's allowed to drink bourbon, I think.
Boy, that's gonna.
He was drinking bourbon the other night. You can drink, you just can't go like off the deep end.
Dude,
like
that's cost $2 million. If you're drinking bourbon at a Blue Jacket game, it's gonna be like
it ain't gonna be cheap.
What time?
Maybe he gets a little. Throws a bottle in like the leg of his pants or something.
Little flask.
Yeah, there you go.
What time are you going to the R bar at?
I don't know. I haven't really thought that far yet.
All right, send me a
5:30ish.
Ooh, okay. I'll be there at 6.
Okay, that's fine. Pat lives down there, so probably just meets me right
All
down
right.
there.
Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody. That's
Have a good weekend, boys and
girls.
Back
Monday. Remember, watch the channel. We need to get forward. This is our first week on the new channel. Let's get 4,000 views so we can get the super chats going. All right, Stanzi.
Well, of course. I mean, there's nothing better than being American. So, I mean, this is the greatest feeling. If you don't love it, leave it. USA, #1.